We're having a book published soon called the Training the Person of the Therapist Theory and Implementation, and it's going to be completely based on the work we've been doing in the couples and family therapy program here at Drexel, which you head. Okay. So this is a good, we thought this would be a good occasion for us to have a dialogue about it so that we could bring the whole concept a little bit more to life in a personal way. And so we've had the students, we're going to have students presenting on their experience, and you're going to start us off by telling us something about why this Person of the Therapist program is relevant to what you're trying to accomplish in training therapists to become marriage and family therapists.
Yes, this is an excellent question. And, you know, in reflecting on this whole process, we've been doing this for well over a decade now. I hadn't realized it's been that long. And initially, just to give you some background, Dr. Watson, Marlene Watson, who was the chair of the department, brought the program to us in 2003. And we thought as a faculty it was a great opportunity to address some of the issues and concerns that we had about the students' education and training experience. Primarily, our program has always had an emphasis on the therapist experience, how it influences training. But what we were concerned about, that it wasn't consistent, it wasn't something that we felt that students were getting every student was getting the same dose of information, having the same experience. So the Person of the Therapist training model, as it was presented to us, seemed like a great opportunity for us to really integrate something that was cohesive into our curriculum. And it was something that we could really teach faculty and supervisors to do because there was a systematic way of going about the training process. We also, because one of the things that's happened over the years in training therapists is that you no longer require them to go into therapy. And there's been a lot of literature that was published about that. And so we were trying to figure out how to make it safe for our students to really share personal aspects of themselves in the training process, because a lot of them came to us with the notion of sort of the myth of becoming a therapist. They need to be perfect. They needed to have no problems or deal with problems, or they needed to be like their clients in some way. You had to be a parent in order to work with a parent, or you had to be in a relationship in order to work with relationships, and it's just not the case. So we really wanted to also address that process, because we wanted our students, we think training really happens, good training happens when students or trainees are able to show all sides of themselves and expose themselves and show us their best work and their, what they consider to be not so good work. And that's when we can really help them. I think one of the most important things about this particular approach for us was that it de-emphasized pathology. And again, our students came in with, as most people, that problems are not good things, or issues are not good things. And, for me to be a good therapist, I got to work on all my family of origin issue, all my habits and vices, and really have my stuff together. And as you know, if you're going to be doing therapy for the rest of your life, there are problems and vices that you pick up in life. And some of the things that you deal with as a young adult stay with you forever. So So the nice thing about this particular approach for us is that it really helped these students to begin to understand that all aspects of themselves are part of the instrument that therapist should have, and it really had an emphasis on teaching them how to use all aspects of themselves as resources.
Okay, that gives the orientation. So why don't we talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of the program? I think you had some questions that you wanted to ask about that.
Well, I think that it would really be helpful if you would just try to give a snapshot. I know it's a big question of what is the person-centered therapist training model?
You know, most historically, talking therapy has almost always involved some focus on the therapist and the therapist's personal issues. Sigmund Freud started that with expecting analysts who were in preparation to undergo their own analysis, and he said in perpetuity throughout their careers that they would periodically go back into their own analysis as a way of addressing their own personal issues as an attempt to resolve their issues, which in his implication that you should repeatedly go back into analysis, it was that the implication was you're never going to fully resolve it. So if you're going to monitor your countertransference, you need to go reflecting on it and have somebody help you reflect on it. The tradition that's been picked up I think in most programs where they, in the preparation of therapists, they work on what are your issues, understand them, and then do something about resolving them so that they don't impede your work. Okay, and which is it's fundamental. You know, we as therapists, we do need to understand ourselves, and we do need to take responsibility for what we bring of our own personal issues into the work that we do. What was lacking for me in that model was several things, actually. But one of them was that a real acceptance of I'm always going to have issues in my life. That's part of being human. Okay? And working on them, yes, I need to know them, I need to take responsibility for them. But it just sort of stopped there. And my thought was, well, we need to think through more clearly and specifically how do we take what we struggle with and integrate that with our professional training. Because the bottom line is not to make a healthier therapist, but to make healthier clients.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so what I've been contemplating and working on and thinking about is how do we bridge that personal work with our professional work, and to do it in a way that is systematic so that it can be taught. Okay. You know, so that it just doesn't happen through some kind of spiritual experience that we go through that somehow gets communicated to our clients. But the other piece, which I think fits with the Drexel program, so much as an emphasis on the effect of our social circumstances,
Right.
you know, and how that also affects the work that we do. You know, race, culture, spirituality, gender, personal values. Um, all of these things also make up who we are. Okay, and these things can be assets and they can be impediments in our lives depending on what our life experience is. And so I wanted to go to a place that said I want to take into account our whole social experience and our inner emotional experience, and how can we then take all of that and incorporate that into the work that we do as professionals in a way that really enhances, adds to the work that we do. Not I have to get all these bad things out of the way,
Right.
but all these bad things must teach me something about life that I can then use in the work that I do with clients. And so that's the person of the therapist in a nutshell.
Right. And so, one of the things that's been really nice about, witnessing the implementation of this model in our programs is that very thing that our students learn. We're not doing surgery and removing parts of you. It's important for you to stay intact and really use those parts of yourselves. And so, could you talk a little bit more about how the person of the therapist model is different from other models that focus on use of self?
Yeah. One is, of course, is the idea that says struggling in life is what being human is about.
Yes.
So that and which is one of the first issues that we deal with our students. They come with a lot of shame. I'm not as smart as, and not as attractive as, I'm not as skilled as, my background is kind of messed up, and et cetera, et cetera. And we have all this baggage, and then the students, like everybody else, well, we defend against that. We protect ourselves. We find ways of not letting it become obvious, so that we don't get embarrassed. And one of the main underpinnings, philosophical underpinnings, is one that invites the students to say, what you're struggling with, that's at the very heart and essence of what you are as a human being. And that pain, that hurt, those disappointments, those tears, okay, they present you and me with a challenge to grow. And it's not whether we struggle. We all struggle. It's what you do with the struggle. Okay, so that we want the students to get to a place where they can accept their humanity, but accept it in a way that says, my struggles are an opportunity for me to stretch myself, to dig deeper into who I am, and in the process to change and to grow and to be more of what I am capable of being. Okay? So these are these blocks that are in front of me are not a wall that impedes me. Okay, they can be set up as something that I can step up and climb over to become a better person. So that is one pillar of what I think is special to this person of the therapist training. The other piece, which is intimately related to it, is that the other pillar is a pillar that says, the hurt, the pain, the failures in your life, the things you struggle with. Okay, if you're going to be a therapist, it's because you struggle with life, okay, that you're going to be able to be a therapist. A computer is not going to be able to do this. You know, so that our own pain, our own hurts becomes a window through which we are able to relate to our clients. Because if we can accept our own struggles, our own humanity, then when we sit down with our clients, okay, no matter how similar or different they are from us in terms of race, culture, age, whatever, social status, okay, there's a certain common element, and the common element is my client is also suffering. My client also struggles with life. And if I'm going to make that connection that allows me to have some deeper insight into who this human being is, and to get to a point where I care about what this person is experiencing, okay, I need to be able to see myself in that person's pain.
That's a lot for a first year master's student, and to take on, in addition to the rest of the things that they have to learn. And so what do you do? You know, how does the POTT model help students not be afraid to go to those places? Because that's not what most people believe happens in training, you know. And it's a daunting task to come in and say, hey, look at yourself, look at all of yourself. And it's okay to look at yourself and with all of your brokenness.
You know, that a couple of things. One is that as instructors, we also have to be prepared to present ourselves and our humanity to our students. Okay, so I'm very conscious of my own struggles, and I make it plain to the students that what they're going through is something that I can resonate with also. Okay, I show my own videotapes and speak to my own struggles in my sessions. I share a little bit about myself, as much as I dare share, you know. But I have to be able to come to the student not from a place of, I got it together, okay, and now you poor thing, I'm going to try to help you to, you know, try to elevate you to where I am.
So modeling.
Right. The modeling is, you know, I'm human, you're human, we struggle. We're talking about something that you and I both know about. You know, you may be 40 years younger than I am. Okay, hey, I've been there. I am still there in my own way. So let's get that barrier out from between us. But the other thing is that we do this in group. And this is really important. You know, it's at first it's intimidating to the student. I mean, I have to talk about my personal issues, my failures, my struggles in life, the things that I've been embarrassed about myself in the presence of my cohort, and I don't even know them. You know, this is the beginning. The first person who presents is like, you know, what are you doing to me? Okay. Well, you're going to sit down with me and you're going to feel safe with me because of the way I relate to you, okay? Because I know what you're going through in some way or another, okay? That's first, okay? But, okay, you're going to present, and after you're done, we're going to have another student present. And then next class, we're going to have another couple of students present. And what's the normal reaction? You start hearing from the students, oh, I thought I was the only one. You're suffering with that too? You're also embarrassed? You're also hiding this? You know, you're also messed up?
It normalizes it.
It absolutely normalizes it. It says, yes, this is the human experience, okay? And you're entering a profession where you're going to be relating to other people's brokenness, other people's woundedness, okay? And you know how you're going to know it? Through your own. You know how you're going to intuit what they're experiencing, because as soon as they start talking about it, it's going to feel pretty familiar. Okay, and you're going to go within yourself and draw something within yourself that reminds you of that gets you in touch with what they're experiencing. Okay, so your humanity, okay, is going to help you to do what you need to do as a therapist, to connect with your client, okay, to be able to understand your client, okay, and then to be able, when you're going to intervene, to be able to get such a feeling for who that person is and where that person is, that you'll know how to offer an intervention, a hand to help, in a way that they recognize it as, okay, this does fit for me, because you're going to be in them in a certain way, because you're going to project yourself in them, you're going to be walking with them, okay? And this is fundamental, because if you get this, then all the wonderful teaching and training that you're going to be getting in terms of different technical models, okay, this will give life to those models. Okay? This will make this human experience that therapy is, okay, something that really works, because those are tools, and those tools will be only as effective as the relationship is between you and your client.
So the first step is really to create some sense of safety and to normalize and introduce students to that process, and then to help them become more self-aware. And so, you know, I know that we have the POTT model is something that our students experience during their first year of the program. But how do you facilitate that self-awareness? I mean, how does a model do that?
Well, in Drexel, we work with quarters. So we work 3 quarters out of the 4 quarters. Right. And so in the fall quarter, the first quarter, okay, we say to the students, we're going to all focus on your issues, which we call your signature theme. We're looking for a core issue of yours. You may see it as several issues, but we're looking for issues that have always been there, that you're always running up against, that you're always struggling with. Okay, not incidents that happen to you, but more something that you struggle with and you bring to your relationships, you bring to your job, you bring to your daily life. You live with it. Okay, and so what we do is we ask them to write a paper, and there's an outline for that. But fundamentally, the paper says, okay, what do you think your issue is, your signature theme is? Give us a little background, your family background, life background.
So context.
That helps us to understand where this came from. Okay, tell us something about how you deal with this, okay, so that we understand how it affects your life today. Okay, and the student writes the paper. The other students get the paper. I, with a colleague, 2 of us sit down together with the student in presence of the others, and we discuss what you just wrote about yourself. And we do, it's almost like a clinical interview, because what we're trying to do is to help the student reflect, understand, and we try to do it in such a way that the student experiences as, you're on my side. Okay, something that we're going to be modeling, because this is what you're going to be needing to do with your clients. Okay. Okay. And hopefully we give the students more than one chance to write a paper and to do this discussion. And then we also ask everyone who's observing, okay, to journal, which means what I saw this person who presented discuss, let me write and tell you how it affected me, and what it brought up for me about my own experiences. So we begin to train the students to reflect about themselves when they hear about somebody else's struggle. So that's the first quarter.
Okay.
In the second